Mama Mondays is sponsored by Colorado Connected, a website full of ideas for parents. And now, here are the mamas.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Mama Mondays. And of course, the girls are here. Diane Miles is here. Our own Danny Sturgis is here, new mom. And of course, welcome to Kimmy Seltzer. She's back today. She's a dating expert and a confidence therapist. Kimmy, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
All right, we're going to take on a pretty big topic, the love shield, because I feel like 2025 for a lot of people has a lot of love in it. But when do we know my walls are up without knowing that my walls are up? Like, that's kind of a hard topic, but I know my walls are up. I already know.
Let's talk about that. I don't know how much time we have. What I want to address just even with the love shield is I call it the love shield because a lot of people who are either dating later in life or are in a relationship, we've gone through stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, we've had trauma, we have previous relationships, we might have aging parents. Like, there's a lot of things that are going on that impact our ability to maybe be open and maybe be vulnerable or make a commitment. And so our fears often prevent us from moving forward a lot.
Wow,
so you ask, how do you know? I mean, I guess I'll throw it back to you. Like, what are you feeling when it comes to that fear? Like,
I just don't know that it's fear. I really don't know. But as my girlfriends here know that I'm engaged to a wonderful man.
Yeah.
We were talking about the date, and it was supposed to be in March, but I'm just like, no, we're gonna wait a little bit longer, and I just feel like I'm not able to make that jump and just say, let's go for it. I'm ready to be married again. I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. We always talk about the cost-benefit analysis in financial world, right? But I use that in relationships.
Okay.
So, like, really taking a hard look at each relationship, each situationship, each dating situation, right? And saying, all right, what is the benefit of moving on?
Okay.
And what would it cost me to move on? Because cost and benefit is different than pro and con.
Yeah.
There could be a list of benefits that are kind of nothing, to be honest, but the cost might be really heavy. So, like, for you, like, what is the benefit from pulling the trigger now versus March? Like, really taking a look at that.
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with my girls, though, because there was definitely some trauma from the last marriage, and we've come a long way, the girls and I, and we're in such a happy place that I think now that you're opening up my mind to things, I think that I feel like we're so happy, just the three of us, that I'm scared to really disrupt that relationship that we've been able to accomplish.
Well, something that you said that I love is, what is this costing me? And I think it's really looking at, like, what could this cost me?
What could,
if I don't pull the trigger and I have this amazing man who I love, what could this cost me?
Well,
at the expense of
yes, and I just wanted to say before I forget, because you said, I don't think I have fear, except you just used the word, I'm scared.
I know.
But here's the issue.
It's
a lot
true.
of times we don't think that it's fear, and it can manifest itself in different ways, right? And we think of fear as this huge thing. I mean, it could be something that's just like little, but regardless, it's something like a trepidation that prevents you. So it's like just taking a look at that further, because like if something didn't work before, it's scary that you don't want to disrupt it.
Because it affected, I see how that last relationship affected the girls. And leaving that relationship affected them even more. And now we're finally in such a good place that we're just so happy just to being the three of us, that I'm so scared that this new relationship end on a bad note, or that there's ever any fighting, God forbid, and that the girls are going to witness that again. That's where my fear is.
Well, and I wonder too if it's something that Kimmy said before too, about, how we have so many different identities as women, right? So you're, I'm sure, trying to kind of battle between your, fiance self and your mom self, and trying to say, am I going to be hurting my mom self if I go in on my fiance self, and vice versa?
Yeah, it's so true.
And like, you don't want to, bring that to the girls and say, well, I need to be a fiance to this person versus, hey, I need to be a mom.
No, it's true. It's kind of a battle to set those apart and be both and keep everybody happy. But it is a fear that's lying within me pretty heavily.
Yeah.
Diane, I want to talk to you because you've got the older kids, and for the longest time, even up until the last few weeks, you really hadn't dated much.
No, I've dated a lot.
Oh. Okay, well,
That's been my problem. I dated a
okay,
lot.
but you
have I
haven't
had
had
anything
serious
that like
relationship?
that stuck? Like I've had a couple serious
Okay.
relationships, but I have a fear of commitment. And,
Okay.
And I know that's I love to engage with people. I'm flirty. I love that energy, and so that has kind of a lot of my relationships. They don't love how friendly I am. What?
Friendly.
Oh, yeah.
Real friendly. And so I, you know, I explored. I was like, I don't know what a relationship for me looks like. So I went all over the place and read all the books, and could I do this? Could I do that? And tried a few different things, because for the longest time I just had a fear of committing to one person. And I have a lot of guy friends who are my guys. Like, those are my people. People have a hard time with you having a lot of guy friends. And then
yeah,
for a
that's a
minute I
problem.
had a roster. So I had like a guy who I went out to eat with, a guy who celebrated with me, and we had a great time together, a guy who was my best friend.
Oh,
who,
my
right, was just
goodness.
solid. I had my human, my kid's dad. That's who I did life with. We went to the grocery store. We did holidays together.
Okay.
But I had my team.
Yeah.
But I could see how that could be a huge problem.
I had a team. It was.
It was a big problem because
problem.
my fiance is kind of a wild one. There is no roster, and he says there's no such thing as guy friends.
Oh.
Ooh, he says that.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
But Kimmy,
Well, just to wrap mine up though, so that has, in this year or the end of last year, I was like, no, I want my one person. Like I want to be in a monogamous, committed relationship with one person, and not at the expense and not of my relationships or me being fully expressed as a woman, as a CEO, as a human, as a mom.
yeah, as a mom.
Yeah.
Good for you, Diane. Okay, well, we want to end with Kimmy's advice here, because how do you take those walls down, Kimmy, like in my situation? Or is it perfectly okay to feel the way I feel? Like, I don't know. I really don't know. How do I separate mom from Claudia and Blake, my fiance?
Yeah, I mean, well, I would say first and foremost, it is doing the work a little bit, you know, and this is just being a therapist, is the past is connected to the future and the choices we make and the patterns that get created. And really taking a look at just where you've been to know where you're gonna go. And by doing that and doing a little bit of deeper work, just knowing yourself a little bit more in some of those patterns, it's then, like what you were saying, really knowing what you want. Like, I ask that question, I offer free calls for people, and I'll ask that question, what is it that you want? Or if you had a golden wand and you could change things, 90% of the time people can't really tell me. Or they think they want something, but when we peel away the layers, it's actually something else. So, you know, like with what you were saying, and and it kind of goes along with some tips, is that it sounds like also you want something, but you also fear it. And so there's a tug of war, right? And it keeps you safe by just being here. And then you can have all these different people and that kind of thing, right? But that's connected to something else as well. So it's just like, there's no cookie cutter approach here. That's why I guess I'm saying that.
Yeah.
It's not one size fits all. It's like we all have our own journeys, you know, that get created. But once you like really know what it is that you want, then it's making a plan to go after it.
Okay.
Right? And I do dating plans like I do business plans with people. I'm very like tangible, hands-on, and we map out a plan.
And
for
you go
exactly-
after it.
Yeah, and then,
Okay.
and then it's taking action. Because we can have good intentions, but we don't put the action.
Kimmy, I'm calling you for a plan.
Right.
Well, we're all in need of a plan, except for Danny.
being friendly.
Danny's doing good over there. Guys, if you've got any questions for the Mama Panel, you can join the conversation by sending us an email. We'd love to hear from you. mycoco@9news.com. And let's hear it for Kimmy. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
KimmySeltzer.com. Also follow her on Instagram at
Kimmy Seltzer.
At Kimmy Seltzer. All right, guys.